Okay, hello and good morning everyone. Welcome to JFD Brokers Traders Espresso with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today's the 13th of December 2018, so welcome everyone. Welcome to this Thursday's morning session where we're gonna have a look at the markets, a few charts as always. The usual stuff. But before we do that, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest, and we can continue. Okay, so now then guys, let's quickly jump into the charts. Now the first one I want to touch on is the FTSE. Now looking at the FTSE, of course, it's not having the best year, let's put it that way. So overall, of course, we are still moving lower. We're still below a few downside resistance lines. So especially in this one, the medium term one taken from the peak of the 8th of August, and slightly more flattish one which is taken from the high of the 22nd of May. So in a way, certainly as long as it kind of remains below these, I mean the outlook is still kind of more to the negative side. But lately, from the short-term perspective, you can see that the index managed to find good support near the 66.75 level, and now kind of since then continues to push higher. Now, of course, still what we're going to be looking at here, we're still looking at this little short-term upside support line, of course, which was broken on the 5th of December, but now you can see that the index is trying to push higher. It's trying to aim for that retest of this line from underneath this time. Certainly, looking at the cash index right now, it's currently trading around the same level where it closed yesterday. So probably we're not going to get a lot of surprises today during this open. So, but still, from the very short-term perspective, it seems to be willing to travel further up here. And now, of course, keep your eyes on these, some of the key support areas on its way. The 6,950 support area, resistance areas on its way. So the first one to watch out for is the 6,915 area, approximately there, which was marked here by the lows of the 23rd of November. But if that doesn't hold, we do have, like I said, we do have this short-term upside support line here. In a way, it's a bit of a tentative one, but nevertheless, it could stall the price initially, like here, a little bit underneath it. And if the bulls and the bears kind of decide, you know, this is where the bulls and the bears could decide, you know, we'll try to decide, of course, who's going to take the driver's seat from here. But if the bulls remain in control, a further push higher here, a break above this short-term upside support line, a break from underneath back above it, this could be become quite interesting for even more bulls and more buyers, and we could see this one maybe the price getting lifted here towards the 70 zone. As you can see, the 70 zone from around mid-November, it acted as a very nice area of resistance. Of course, it did have a few overshoots here, but kind of never closed the daily candle above it. So in a way, that kind of shows us how significant that level is. So watch out for the 70 zone, but again, if this time it's going to have a nice break here and we see a nice close on the daily candle above it, then we could move all the way here towards this this medium-term downside resistance line that I was talking about, that's running from the 8th of August. We could in a way have a retest of that, because last time it got tested only here in September, in the end of September. But again, basically for such a scenario, we need to see a nice good move back above this short-term upside support line, and also a nice good close of the daily candle above the 69.65 area, approximately here. So watch out for that one. So for now, like I said, it is an interesting one. I mean, Certainly, looking at the whole index overall, I mean, it's trading well below its opening price here. As you can see, this slightly thicker dashed line. So we've marked it as this is the opening price, and yep, the index, to be honest, probably gonna end up the year in this negative territory. So unlike the U.S. equity markets, which are still trying to battle it out and trying to kind of balance around their opening prices. So with the FTSE here, that's not the case. The FTSE is gonna definitely gonna, well, I shouldn't probably use the word definitely, but most likely is gonna end the year in the red. So for now, guys, be very cautious in terms of the downside here. If this suddenly drops below the 6870, or even actually better 6850 area here, then yep, we could see maybe a drive back down here, maybe even towards these lows that we saw here around the 6th of December, around the 6675 zone. So for now, from the short-term perspective, it seems that it wants to continue traveling a little bit higher here. We do have some good areas of resistance. Let's see how the index performs around them. But yep, we continue being very cautious with this one. Jumping into Brent oil now. With this one, it's quite similar to WTI, of course, and yeah, well, no secret here. Yesterday I was talking about WTI, and kind of it's the similar thing is happening here on Brent in a way. As you can see, yep, overall we're still below this long-term upside support line taken from the low of the 21st of June 2017. Also, we have this downside resistance line, this in a way short-term downside resistance line running from the high of the 10th of October. But as you can see now, the commodity is kind of ranging right now. So in a way, it managed to range itself out of the through, or should I say, through this downside resistance line. So in a way, we could probably remove it for now, because where we're going to keep an eye on is, of course, we're going to keep a close eye on this range. And let me just quickly mark those territories here. So on the upside here, this is where we're going to be keeping an eye on the area around the 6170 zone, and on the downside, let me just quickly put this one here. There we go. And this is where we're going to be looking at on the downside, the 58.50 area approximately here. So in a way, where we're going to wait, if we get a nice drop here, continuation move lower, and a drop below the 58.50 zone. Now this, of course, could turn out to be quite ugly for the commodity, and we could see further slide here, maybe even towards the 55.10, 55 in general area. So keep your eyes on down. And the 55 level last time was tested around the October time in 2017, or in other words, the lowest point of October. So quite an interesting level that could be, but only if we get a nice drop here below the 58.50. On the upside, we would need to see a nice good push here above the 6170 in order to consider higher levels. But for those who are more on the cautious side, in a way, you could maybe wait until this moves, let's say, to above the 63.20 or even the 64.60. I mean, and then probably we could aim for much higher levels like the 68.35 or even higher. But for now, be very careful with this one. It's still stuck here in this little range here between the 58.50 and the 61.70 approximately there. So yep, let's wait and see how this plays out, and which of the sides is gonna get broken. Jumping into one crypto quickly I wanted to touch on, and that's Ripple. Now Ripple is looking at this daily chart. Of course, it's a bit of a downslide here, a little since around the beginning of November. But overall, if we look back into history, you can see that overall we've managed to break this long-term downside resistance line taken from the peak of the 10th of February this year. So in a way, this could have, this is look well. It does look a bit more towards the positive side, but as you can see, it's kind of for now, it's going to continue to slide lower. And from the short-term perspective, if we have a look at the 4-hour chart here, you can see that in a way we do have something like a falling wedge formation, even though it's not really a very accurate one, as we do have a bit of a gap here, a bit of some free space here. So in a way, just probably class it as a downside support line, let's put it that way. So from the other point here, we can see that it's still below this downside resistance line taken from the high of the 28th of November. So in a way, this is going to be our line that we're going to be carefully monitoring, because if this is going to continue, if this continues to remain intact, I mean, we could see further declines here, and especially if we're going to get a drop below the, let me just quickly mark that area, below this little low here around the 0.2945 area approximately here. So too thick here, let's get rid of this. There we go. So if we get a nice drop here below the 0.2945 approximately there, we could see some further declines here, maybe actually going all the way here, well, not all the way, but going here towards the 0.28 area or even lower. But for now guys, be very careful. From the very short-term perspective, you can see that yes, it is declining. It has been declining here and continues to trade below the resistance line taken from the high of the 28th of November. But the only thing is that from the 7th of December, this crypto kind of continues to create these higher lows. So that's why the suggestion here is to stay sharp, to be very careful, and that's why I'm saying for us to consider further declines, we would need to see a nice good drop here below the 0.2945. On the upside here, if this gets a nice break here, the downside resistance line gets a nice break to the upside, then yep, we'll aim initially towards the 0.33 area, or even actually going a little bit higher towards 0.3465. So for now, continue monitoring it and wait for the break. Okay guys, so let's jump into a few pairs now. Looking at the just bear with me, I think I'm losing connection here. Okay, so I hope you can hear me okay, guys. It's a bit of a few technical problems I'm experiencing here right now. So okay, looking at the GBPNZD now, this is a very interesting pair here. And before I jump into a 4-hour, looking at this daily chart, certainly you can see that it's looking quite weak, especially since it's reversal here on the 10th of October. It continues to trade below this downside. Oh, let me just quickly mark this downside resistance line here, taken from that peak and from the high of that day. But of course, yesterday's spur here, yesterday's move higher, strong move upwards from the GBP, of course, managed to get the pair closer towards this downside resistance line. So in a way, this is where we're going to keep on monitoring. If this, let's say, suddenly reverses back up here and pushes above this downside resistance line, certainly this could be a good sign for the bulls, and we could see maybe more bulls joining in here, especially if this breaks above the 184.85 level. The next potential target, of course, it's a quite close one, but nevertheless quite a good one, a strong one, could be this around the 186.40 level. As you can see, it was marked here by the highs of the 6th of December and the low of the 16th of November. So for those who are more on the cautious side, you could in a way wait until this would get above the 1.8640 level, and then you could target some higher levels. Now the higher levels could be the 189.85 area approximately there, marked by the high of the 26th of November, or even or even actually going further up here. So long story short, guys, for keep your eyes on this little downside resistance line. Now for us to, let's say, start considering much lower levels, probably we're gonna take a very conservative approach here and wait until this, let's say, gets towards the 180, 130 level, approximately there. Let me just quickly mark that, and only then will, if we get a nice break below that area, only then we'll consider further declines here. So for now, like I said, we're going to stay put with the downside scenario, but carefully monitor the upside possibility here, especially if we're going to get a nice break here above this downside resistance line and the 1.8485 level. Jumping into Aussie dollar now, this one is an interesting one, and well, since Tuesday this week, it's kind of trying to push higher here, even though the euro performed badly here on Tuesday, still the Aussie was the one who stayed in the positive territory, so against the US dollar, of course. And looking at this right now, it's currently testing the 0.7240 level, and let me just quickly jump into a 4-hour chart on this one. As you can see, this is going to be our breaking point here. So if we get a nice move, push higher here, certainly this could be a nice, good, positive indication for the bulls, and we could see more of them jumping in here and potentially driving this one towards the R2, which is near the 0.7256-55 area. But if that's not enough, I mean, we slightly above that, we do have the 0.7277 area, which was marked here by the highs that we saw here around the 21st of November and the 26th of November, and also it was not far from this support area here of the 5th of December. So keep your eyes on that one, of course. But at the moment, if this is going to continue in the same manner, yep, we could see a potential move here higher, and especially, like I said, because we're currently testing this quite important area of resistance near the 0.7240. On the downside, well, if this suddenly drops below the pivot here, at around 0.7217, 15 area, approximately there, this could also at the same time break this short-term upside support line here, in a bit of a tentative one, but nevertheless something for you guys to keep an eye on. So if we get a break here below this, then yep, we could see a bit of a slide here lower, maybe even going on towards this S1 here, approximately around the 0.7195, 96, something like that. And the last pair I wanted to quickly touch on, and that's euro dollar. Now the euro dollar here is well, it had a nice run yesterday, of course. We could see maybe a continuation here to the upside, and you can see overall, of course, this little short-term upside support line taken from the low of the 13th of November kind of held nicely here on Tuesday, and yep, from which yesterday the pair managed to bounce and have a nice rally here to the upside, almost reaching the 114 level, just falling shy of a few pips away from that. But of course, everything could get fixed today. So in a way, where we're going to be keeping a close eye on here for today, and let me just jump into a 4-hour chart. So yesterday we had this nice touch of the 113.87 level approximately here. So in a way, it's not far from this 200 EMA shown as the black line. So in a way, you could look at that one as your breaking point here. If we do get a nice pop here above this 200 EMA and the break above the yesterday's high, then yep, we could potentially consider a further move higher here towards the 114 area, or even actually going a little bit higher here towards the 114.35, or even much higher. But to be honest, be very cautious today, be very careful. We do have the ECB today delivering on the interest rate, but after that we'll have the Mario Draghi's press conference, so be very cautious on that, and probably the suggestion is just observe the euro dollar during that speech, and yep, do the trading after. Okay guys, I hope you found it useful, and thank you very much for watching and listening. And if you want to join me later on my Trader's Tea Time, that's 14:15 GMT time. So yep, but for now, I hope you have a fantastic trading day, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.